I don't want to say what you want to say.
Welcome into the Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup. Randy Lee alongside Scott Hardy this evening. Love to hear from you. 800-782-0108, 256-234-6221. And, Scott, happy to be up here. Only on the television side tonight is Tiger Talk is heading into the Auburn game that will be coming up on Thursday. 11 o'clock kickoff. Should be a lot of fun there. For you Alabama fans out there, congratulations. You're in the first ever playoff. We'll talk a lot more about that from 7 to 9 tonight as Luke Robinson and I will be with you on Sports Blitz Live. But good to have you up here, Scott.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's our last show of the year, so hopefully we can go out with a bang.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to run down the top 10 stories per Scott Hardy. You did do this rundown.
Yeah, I did do this, so hopefully I didn't leave anybody out.
So if anybody has a problem with 1 through 10, please call Scott Hardy, and he will be able to run that down for you and have an issue. But the top 10 stories here in the Lake Martin region as we head into that. Also got our good friend Sonny Wilson, the Parks and Rec Director in Alexander City. They'll be up here with us in the following segment, Scott, and they've always got a ton going on as we're heading into the first of the year, and there's always busy things going on this time of year. But as we head into springtime is when it really picks up around the Lake Martin area.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it as we get ready for basketball season, soccer season starting a little conditioning there, and, of course, baseball and softball. So it should be an exciting spring.
Benjamin Russell High School on the basketball side picked up a big victory last night against Sylacauga. I believe they're playing tonight, Scott. Is that right?
Yeah, I'll make sure we get that confirmed during the break, but we'll try to get a score. We actually have the daughter of the coach here today, so maybe she'll be able to help us out.
You know, I enjoyed tuning in. You and Jeff Hines interviewed this past week, and Brett Pritchard also with him there to start the show off this past week. And we got a good basketball team, a very talented basketball team. It's a fun brand of basketball to get out and watch. They defend full court, a lot of pressure. Also get up and down, got some good shooters on this team. It should be fun to watch and see how things play out. I know that I was listening into the interview, and a good goal for them to have is to make regionals, make it to Montgomery this year. And I really do think that this team's capable of doing that.
Yeah, and as you said, they're so entertaining to watch. And for somebody who may not actually watch a lot of basketball or attend a lot of games, if you don't really have an interest in basketball, go watch the Wildcats play. They play up-tempo style on both sides of the floor. But, again, as you said, they have a lot of talent, and hopefully they'll transition to a trip to Montgomery.
Yeah, and we'll definitely continue to pass along information as it's coming across. Big victory over Sylacauga last night as they move into the championship round of the first annual Lake Martin Classic, I think. I'm not sure. Let me pull up the name and see how that is called, though. But a nice little setup. A couple of new tournaments that we have here in the Lake Martin area on the basketball side. And, Scott, that's a good thing, because if you watch, and you'll talk with Sonny Wilson in the upcoming segment, any kind of events that you can bring to the community, always bring heads to beds and different people into restaurants like JR Sports Bar and Grill that we are tonight. So the more events, the better. You got to be able to manage those events. I don't want to put any pressure on Sonny over here. It's hard to manage that many events, but as many of them as possible is always a good thing.
Yeah, from an economic standpoint, it definitely will benefit the city, but benefits the athletic program as well, whatever sport it is, because I know on the basketball side, he talked about getting more games in, and that only helps you when you're playing out of your region. Once you get back into it and you start playing your opponents that you see year in and year out, it helps you a little bit more. It helps you to be a little more prepared.
And we appreciate all of you tuning in out there here on the Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup. Up against our first break here when we come back. Sonny Wilson will be up here with Scott Hardy. We'll talk a little bit about Alexander City Parks and Rec. You can check them out on their website, acpr.me, or give them a phone call if you ever have any questions, 256-329-6736. More of the Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup right after this.
Welcome back, and thanks for joining the Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show, live here on location at JR Sports Bar and Grill on this gloomy Tuesday evening, our last show of the year. But we want to say thank you to JR for always being such a welcome host. 256-329-2328 is the number to dial in, and they can take care of your catering needs, and they can deliver for you as well. 256-329-2328. And right now we want to welcome in Sonny Wilson, Parks and Rec Director for the Alexander City Parks and Rec. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Scott. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's been a while. A lot has gone on since the last time we spoke. I think we were actually wrapping up baseball season, and we were congratulating some of those teams there. So before we go, can you just give us a wrap-up of the 2014 athletics there for us?
Well, as far as our baseball, softball season, we had 43 teams this year in the league, and plus we had some from the Horseshoe Bend area that played with us. We sent them out to All-Stars, and our 10-year-old girls, they won the state and went on to the regionals up in North Carolina, where they competed well, had a good showing there. So we're very proud of them. Then we go into football this year, and we had 12 teams in football, 4 in each age group. We started flag football for the 6 and under. That was something some of the parents wanted, the dads wanted to start up, so we tried it out, and it ended up being probably the funnest of all the age groups. It was amazing how competitive those kids were. Blake, he started up for us. He coached. We had 4 teams in that age group, and had a great season. They even had their own little Super Bowl, so they were excited about that. Then now we're in the basketball. We got 3 6-year-old teams, 4 8-year-old teams, 2 9 and 10 teams, and 2 11 12 teams, which we're playing Dayville and Childersburg, some of the local communities there in basketball this year.
Well, you speak about the numbers in each of those teams, and I know it seems like every time we talk, we're speaking about the growth in the numbers. But as a whole, did all the sports grow from a participation level?
Pretty much. Our basketball, it kind of equaled out about the same. It didn't grow much this year, but our other sports, they each seem to grow. We got to work on our girls softball, which it gets harder. There's just more and more for girls to do nowadays with the gymnastics, the cheerleading, and and all that. But we're really working hard on trying to build our softball program.
Well, that'll transition us into baseball. I'm thinking within the last month or so, there was the field. We want to make sure we're saying it right. The field for Coach Brooks or the dugout. What actually went down with the construction of all of that?
Well, we're trying to build a locker room for behind the home dugout at the baseball field, the high school baseball field or the sportsplex. They're the only sport we have that doesn't have a dressing room. Those guys have to dress out in the parking lot, and they have to carry their bags, their bat bags and all the school with them. So we felt like 4 years ago when we done a master plan, that was one of the things that come up that we desperately needed after a soccer complex, which, we're still working on our soccer complex. Our council mayor was nice enough to approve to finish the concession stand over there and put up some lights this year. So we're very excited about the lighting project going on over there. And hopefully this spring we'll be able to play at the soccer fields. But we also being able to build, they approved for us to build the locker room, which we got a lot of donations for that. Probably 3/4 of that to come via donations.
Well, we're here with Sonny Wilson, who's the Parks and Rec Director for the Alexander City Parks and Rec. And Sonny, you're speaking about the baseball team, and so that transitions you into the soccer complex. How is that progress going, and how did that actually come about? You talked about a 4-year plan or the master plan 4 years ago. How far are we into that plan, and can you give us a progress update on the soccer complex?
Yeah, 4 years ago when I started, we wanted to do a master plan just to see what all our needs were. So each year as we went toward our budget, we knew what we were asking for. So we had a long-range goal to build up all our sports, not only for the youth but the high school level also. And the number one thing we needed was a soccer complex. Well, we done that. We started that on a 5-year plan. We're into year 3. And this year was the lighting. So we have 6 fields for the youth, or 2 or 3 high school size fields, or 6 youth size fields. We got the grass down, the field's level, the grass down, the fence is up. We started a concession stand. We'll finish that hopefully in the next 2 months or so. And then we'll get the lights up, and they'll be pretty much ready to play over there.
So what does that do for the community? Not only, obviously, the soccer program definitely needs, and I know speaking with Austin, he's excited as he can be about it, but what does that do to the community when you're able to, from an economic standpoint, you'll be able to start bringing in tournaments and that type of thing?
Well, hopefully this year we were able to host the district tournament, and for the Parks and Rec of the state was over to hold our district tournament. And it was kind of come by surprise. We really didn't know what to expect, but once we held it, it was November the 1st, and we had a huge turnout, more than I would ever imagine that we would have. So, with these soccer tournaments, it's nothing to have 30 to 40 teams in a tournament. I think the soccer parents travel more than any other sport out there. I mean, they seem to play every weekend. They don't mind traveling 4 or 5 hours to play soccer. So, we're very excited to be able to host that. And soccer's during a time when baseball pretty much is not. Their tournaments aren't going on. Baseball tournaments are pretty much June, July. And then soccer we can have in the spring and the fall.
Well, when you have successful teams, we'll backtrack a little bit and go back to those baseball and softball teams that made it to state and made it for one state rather. What does that do for you otherwise going forward, being able to host certain things? Is that bringing in notoriety to you when you have a complex or have teams that are always going to be in it? Does that help you bring in more teams in?
It does, and I think one thing that helps, this summer we had 9 tournaments. That was the most we've had that I know of. And, for those to go over well, it's not only we have the nice complex here, and everybody brags about it. They like how it's kind of a wooded area. Most parts are just clear cut, and you have fields. But ours, with the woods and all the archery range, the horse riding arena, everything we have over there. But they come in, not only the part, it's the people in the community. They go in the hotels, the restaurants. They're always bragging about how welcome they are and how nice the people are. And it takes a community effort for those tournaments to be successful. And out of the 9 we had this summer, I think every one of them ended up very successful tournaments. So that that feedback goes back to the state director. He hears that, and when things come open for the future, we want to do some regional tournaments and some World Series, and hopefully that'll help us out.
Definitely. Well, as 2014 comes to a close, you head into 2015. What's on the horizon for the ACPR?
Well, one thing, like I said, we're really going to try to push our girls softball. That's one thing we want to do this year as far as our youth sports. We hope to get in the soccer complex this year. And I know those parents, that's been badly needed for a long time. So I think there's some very excited parents and kids and coaches that we can get over there. Hopefully this spring we'll be able to start playing some games over there. And, with those 2 big projects and then the locker room we're building, there's a lot of good things going on. It's tough times. And I tell you, we beat our businesses up. We go out and we ask for donations to help on a lot of these projects. And a lot of the work we do in-house to save money by doing it in-house with the city employees. And it's amazing how much money we've saved the 4 years I've been here for, just by doing it in-house.
That's great stuff. Well, as always, son, we appreciate you coming through and appreciate everything you do for us. And if there's anything that anybody can do to help, just let us know, and we'll be there for you.
Oh, you know me. I'll call on you.
Absolutely. We'll go ahead and take another break, and when we return, Randy and I will begin breaking down the top 10 stories of the year for the area sports-wise. We'll go ahead and take another break. More of the late morning sports roundup show live here from JR's right after this.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
How is everything, bud? Welcome back into the Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup. Randy Lee alongside Scott Hardy this evening. 800-782-0108, 256-234-6464. Good to hear from all of you. Glad you all tune in from 6 to 7. We're happy to be doing this program every week from JR Sports Bar and Grill. Like to talk about local area athletics. When we move over to the 7 to 9 program, Scott, it's hard to do that because we're on statewide television. Also on another radio station that we work with on the 7 to 9 market over in the Auburn, Opelika, and Montgomery area. And so if you sit around and you talk like we want to about Benjamin Russell and Davil and Horseshoe Bend and our local area teams, we lose some interest in some other communities. So we're glad that we have this program. It's only because of JR Sports Bar and Grill that we're able to do it. So make sure to come out to JR's, $1.99. Your kids will eat off the menu if they're in uniform. $6.99 each and every time that you hear us on air with Sports Blitz programming. They'll have a snack wing basket with a tea. And a new special on Wednesday, and it's all day long, snack finger basket for $5. All Wednesday long, $5 snack finger basket. You want to add a tea to that, it will be $6 for that. But great specials, great atmosphere here at JR Sports Bar and Grill.
Well, I already eat here nearly every day anyway, so now that special is going, I guess I'll make it one more day. But again, JR Sports Bar and Grill, 256-329-2328.
It was great having Sonny Wilson up here with us in the previous segment, and the Alexander City Parks and Rec continues to grow by leaps and bounds with him at the helm, and we've got so many different tournaments that we've been able to bring into the Alexander City area. The new facilities that you've been able to see, like the soccer facility, and the growth that you're seeing with that. We were also talking during the break, the growth with Lake Winds Golf Course and Gary Hines doing a tremendous job, not only with the members out there, but the thing that I've noticed is all the new PGA Tour Youth PGA Junior League that they have. There's a lot of rejuvenation, a lot of interest in golf here in the local community that we haven't had in a long, long time. So, Scott, as we move into the spring sports, always a strong time of year around here.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to it. Speaking of golf, we'll have Mandy Durr on once the year starts back. They're hoping this year to have a girls' golf team just for the middle school. So, as you said, the growth has been going there. So, again, we hope to catch up with all of our spring sport coaches coming up.
2014, the top 10 stories that we were able to see here in the Lake Martin region. Scott, I got to give kudos to you as you put this together. So I'll let you run it down, and I'll give you some thoughts from my perspective on what you've got here. We'll start with number 10.
Well, yeah, we'll start with the Wildcat first round win over Stanhope, and that was such a big win for us. And it was kind of what I was breaking it down for, is because it's kind of eerily similar to the year before where they play St. Paul's and they face him, they score first, miss the extra point. Benjamin Russell comes back and scores, so it works out for them, and vice versa for us here. So, again, it was just a pretty neat story, I thought, from year to year.
Yeah, and playing that same team, Stanhope, and as athletic as they always are over in Millbrook, and to be able to get over the hump in an overtime game was a big storyline. Give ourselves a chance to go back and play a very game Spanish Fort team. We did lose out in that round, but we were happy to get to go back down there. I know that here in Benjamin Russell, we have played Spanish Fort very tough the two times that we've been able to go down there and play them in the last, 3 years. We've been lucky enough to do that, and hopefully we can get over the hump at some point in time, but you got to keep giving yourself a chance, and that's the beautiful thing that Danny Horn has built on the tradition here at Benjamin Russell High School. 3 consecutive 10-win seasons is the first time that we've had that in Alexander City in the history of the program. And this is a storied program, the 4th or 5th all-time winningest program in the state of Alabama's history, with a couple of 3 state championships. And we haven't gotten over the hump and won one of those. But, Scott, the important part to me is to be competitive, to have kids out, to have them learning from a great coach and a great coaching staff like Coach Horn has put together. We're very lucky here in Elk City to have what we have.
Yeah, to have over 30 wins in 3 seasons definitely lets you know where the program is going. And while you alluded to it, Coach Horn is one of the main beneficiaries of what's been going on, and we should be thankful that we have him. But he'll be in one of the stories that we lead up to it, going down the top 10, but definitely going in the right direction at Benjamin Russell.
Running down the top 10 stories here in the Lake Martin region in 2014. We'll kick it over number 9, Scott.
This one is one good friend of mine, Austin Till, takes over for his father, Sammy Till, and it was one of those things where it's his first year as head coach, and his first year teaching, and his first season he goes 19-6, 10-0 in area play, and talked to some people around the Montgomery area doing during All-Star Week, and they think that Benjamin Russell definitely has a team or has a chance or be one of those teams that you look forward to going for the state championship.
Yeah, that soccer program, it's amazing to see Andy Graham that does our sports call programming. He was a member as a senior of the very first soccer program we had at Benjamin Russell High School, one of the better players on that team. I asked Andy, I said, what was your record that first year? I think they were 4-6. Andy will send me, he'll call me and let me know on Sports Blitz tonight if I'm wrong, but I think they were 4-6, and they had some tough losses mixed in there with some very good opponents out there. But to see where they have come from that time frame, and we had great athletes in the school system, Andy being one of the better ones at that time, to get to where they are now, where they're 19-6, they're 10-0. They've been able to go over and play in a Final Four in one of the last few years that Coach Till was around. And for his son to take over at a very young age and hopefully be at the helm for a long time to come and can bring some state championships here to Benjamin Russell, I think that would be a good story.
Yeah, and I think this season definitely they have the chance to do so. You have Grant Hudson, Cole Grogan, both Sturdivant brothers, have young Eddie in the back. So it should be a good season for the Wildcats. And as you alluded to, again, 19-6, 10-0 in area play, and that's where they were the most dominant. But hopefully that success transitions into another good season.
Let's run down one more before we head off to break. Number 8 in the top 10 stories of 2014 in the Lake Martin region.
Yeah, this is Anthony Jennings. He committed to Alabama earlier in the year, and all he did in his senior campaign was collect 88 tackles. He did have over 120 total tackles, but 88 solo tackles and 14 sacks, which earned him a selection to the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game.
I was able to go over and call color for the HSA radio network for that Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game, and Anthony, for one, when you get off the bus and you're out on the field, he looks like a player. He looks like one already. The first half, the defense, it wasn't just Anthony. The entire Alabama defense just looked like they didn't know how to get things going. 240 yards passing for Mississippi in the first half. I don't think they got much. They may have had 20 yards of rushing in the first half, but in the second half, they went backwards running the football, and I don't remember them having too many more passing yards. And Anthony Jennings was a main reason that they didn't, as he ended up with 1 sack, but he was back in the backfield time and time again. I think one of the more underrated players here in the state of Alabama, because the size is there, the strength is there. When he ends up over there, I hope as he's coming out, look, he's going to Alabama. I'm an Auburn guy. But I love to see our local players go on and make a name for themselves and do great things. We've had a lot to do that, and I'm hoping that Anthony takes that Dayville Tiger and that black and gold over to Alabama, and they can see that name run across like Brad Ford did. He's a little bit older than I was, but it was a great secondary player over at Alabama during his time. Would like to see Anthony Jennings make a good name for himself.
I think he definitely has a chance to do so. That's just a testament, too, to Coach Richard White and what they've been doing with that program. He kind of took it back to where it needs to be in the last several years. They've been able to put guys up in the next level.
256-234-6464, 800-782-0108. Up against another break here on the Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup. We come back, we'll run down 7 through 1 in the top 10 stories of 2014. Love to hear from you. Come on out to JR Sports Bar and Grill. Be a part of the program. Bring your kids out in uniform all season long. That can be practice uniform also, and they'll lead off the kids menu for $1.99. More of the Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup right after this. Welcome back into the Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup. Randy Lee alongside Scott Hardy. 800-782-0108, 256-234-6464. Love for you to come out to JR's, have a great dinner. Bring your kids out in uniform all season long. They'll eat off the kids' menu for $1.99. Scott, you've done good so far with 1 through 10 as we're running through the top 10 stories here in the Lake Martin region for 2014. We've ran down 10, 9, and 8. I'll tell you what those were one more time. Overtime victory versus Stanhope Elmore for Benjamin Russell was number 10. Austin Teal taking over for his father at Benjamin Russell High School soccer program was number 9. Number 8 was Anthony Jennings and the great season as a senior that he was able to put up for the Dadeville Tigers, and he'll be moving on to play his college ball at the University of Alabama. Over to you for number 7.
Yeah, we'll be discussing him a little later on in this segment. But Jackie O'Neill's last Reeltown versus Dadeville game as he was set to retire this season. Senior Ed Carricker led the Rebels to a 7-0 victory over arch rival Dadeville with over 120 yards rushing and the winning score in Coach O'Neill's last Dadeville Reeltown game.
That was a big, big shocker because coming into the season, Dadeville, my expectations were that they had a chance to win the state title this year. You got so much talent. UMS Wright losing their starting quarterback. They've been Dadeville's nemesis for so long. And for Reeltown to blank them and win the football game 7-0 with that great offense that Dadeville's put on the field the last, 5 or 6 years, they've had one of the better offenses in all of high school football, led by some of the better quarterbacks that we've seen come out here in the state. Eric Vickers started that off. Kyle Caldwell was unbelievable. Names not C.J. Tolbert was the previous year, was an all-state performer as well. So they had 3 all-state performers at quarterback, and be blanked by Reeltown. That was a huge story coming in at number 7.
Yeah, especially, as you said, for a team in Dadeville who a lot of us thought were going to be able to compete for a state championship. But, again, hats off to Reeltown on a very great season, finishing 10-2 on the year.
Moving over to number 6 in the top 10 stories of 2014.
And we're talking about that Dadeville team again as Dadeville defeats Leeds. They ended the game 4-3, and what was a roller coaster season for them, but they ended up taking care of the Green Wave 20-14, and that would end up being the only blemish for Leeds during the season.
It's the only close football game I saw them have outside of Madison Academy, which won the 3A state championship. Carryon Johnson had a great night in that one. That one was aired on ESPN to start the football season off this year. But none of us, again, after Dadeville had struggled there to go to a 4-3 start and defeat Leeds, you knew what they had. You knew they had the talent to do it, and they were able to pull that off. So a good number for that in number 6. Again, as we're running down the top 10 stories here in the Lake Martin region for 2014. Moving down, number 5, Scott.
I think this one might have been one of my favorite ones of the year. It was Danny Horn's, his return back to Clay County as Benjamin Russell took on Central of Clay. And we have some numbers for him, but what a great career he had at Clay County. But Benjamin Russell ended up defeating Clay Central in his return 23-15.
Yeah, it was a great story. For Coach Horn this year, he had 225 victories at Clay County, won 6 state championships during that stretch between 94 and 97, broke the state record with 55 consecutive games that they won, and not many of those were close football games. One of the better defenses, if not the best stretch of defense that we've seen played here in the state of Alabama during that stretch for Clay County. But a big victory, and the thing that I enjoyed the most about it is, first off, the first couple of times that we were able to play Clay County at the time, they beat us both times, but there were some great atmospheres. And I don't remember there being any kind of problems whatsoever. And some of the largest crowds we've ever seen at a high school football game. And I think that bodes well for their community, their football program, also bodes well for our community and our football program. And a thing that I took from that game is beautiful facility. Just the class that they show whenever they're playing, even though the schools have merged, still the same classy parents and kids that you see out there on the field. I'm hoping this is a long-term rivalry because I really do believe we need a good rivalry game like that here at Benjamin Russell.
Yeah, and you have Opelika, and that's a big one. But for a team like Clay County or Central Clay, rather, who is that far away from us distance-wise, it's pretty close, and somebody that has pretty much the same tradition-wise that Benjamin Russell would have, that would definitely be something that both communities would want to see from year round.
Running down the top 10 area sports stories of 2014 here in the Lake Martin region. Again, thanks for all of you tuning in this year on the Lake Martin Sports Roundup. Next season, if you've got kids that are out and about, they're playing, they're doing great things, not only in high school ranks, but down in the youth ranks, we need to hear from you. We want them up here on this program. Like we had Sonny Wilson, the Parks and Rec director, with us a little bit earlier. We want to hear from them. We want to hear what's going on in their lives, and that's exactly what this program is for, is to spotlight our local area kids and all of their accomplishments out there. Let's run down one more during this segment, and that's number 4, and what a great coach he was.
Yeah, we had 2 actually retire from us. Coach Joe Blue, and then you'll see Jackie O'Neill. He's set to retire this season as well. Speaking about Coach Blue, 33 years at Central Coosa, and he had over 600 career wins and 4 state championships, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2011, and he's the only coach in state history to have had 2 players face off each other in the Super Bowl. So again, what a great career he had. I know they're in a transition mode there at Coosa, but Coach Blue was a great coach.
He was a great coach. He built a program that you didn't want to see coming to your house. I say that you didn't want to see it. You look forward to it. If you lived here in Alexander City and played for Benjamin Russell, you look forward to going over there when you had to be there for the girls' game or you weren't getting in. You look forward to them. We always played them over at CAC whenever we were playing here because you couldn't get them into Benjamin Russell High School's facility. Again, you'd have to be there for the girls' game. There's so many fans that wanted to get into those games they were unable to. So during that tenure, I look at his state championships. He won one in 95, 2000, 2001, and 2004. The one that's left off, and I'm telling you, the 94 team that he had was scary, scary, scary good. And I don't know how they lost. I don't remember exactly. I know it was well into the regional play, but it was one of the best teams I ever saw. That was Adelius Thomas's junior year in high school. It was my sophomore year in high school. Remember first varsity game going over there and playing, and Kadori Benton shot our eyeballs out over there. And they had such a great team. And a lot of that was because of their coach, and their coach kept those players in line and kept them fighting. They always played outstanding defense. And, Scott, I can't say enough good things about that program.
Yeah, on the high school level, obviously you want to have the athletes, but in any sport, especially in basketball, a great coach can transcend the program, and that's exactly what Coach Blue did. Spending all of his years as a Coosa County coach, he was a Goodwater coach for 10 years before moving over to for Central Coosa when they merged. But again, what a great career he had, and that kind of transitions into who we were speaking about earlier, Coach Jackie O'Neill, who finished his 27-year career 235 and 105, including a 101 and 29 regional record, which ranks the best in state history. A 2-time state champion in 2001 and 2009. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2010, winning Coach of the Year honors in 91, 92, 01, and 08.
You know, 91 and 92 also makes it to the state championship game. Can't get over the hump at those times. So it's great for him, and we were able to call one of those games back in 2009 on the HSA radio network, and that was a big victory for that Reeltown team. And he was an outstanding coach that many here in the state of Alabama respect to the utmost, and hopefully he'll still be around doing a lot of things with HSA. You see some of our top coaches in the state in the history, they'll get active, like an Ike Grant that was over at Lafayette. They'll get active in the Alabama High School Athletic Association in one form or fashion because Coach Sav and many of the other administrators over there, they know they need to pull as much out of them as they still have available, and I'm sure Jackie O'Neill will be one of those. Let's go ahead and take another break here on the Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup. When we come back, we'll finish out. We'll run down 3 down to 1 in the top 10 stories of 2014 here in the Lake Martin region. More of the Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup right after this. Welcome back into the Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup. Got about 8 minutes left here on the program. Going to take on out of here about 6:55. Scott, get ready from 7 to 9 for Sports Blitz Live tonight. We hope all of you tune in statewide. The Alabama Cable Network, Channel 80, Channel 3 here in the Lake Martin region. Scott, you can also tune it in not only on 97.5 Kowaliga Country here in the local area, but 95.9 Talk FM over in the Auburn-Opelika market. As we've been running down the top 10 Lake Martin area sports moments of 2014. 10, we're all the way up to 3. Let me run them down from 10 to where we are now, though, currently. Number 10 was Benjamin Russell Wildcats football team earning a first-round overtime victory over Stanhope. Kind of get over the hump of their loss in overtime the previous season to St. Paul's. Down to number 9 was Austin Till takes over for his father, Sammy Till, who is an outstanding soccer coach, and Austin having a great opening year as well, moving to 19-6, and they've got them primed for a couple of good years of run for some state championships here in soccer at Benjamin Russell. Number 8 was Anthony Jennings and the great storyline that he's provided to this local market, not only on his the field of play on football, but his all-star events that he's been a part of, and he'll be moving over to the University of Alabama to play. Number 7 is Jackie O'Neill's last Reeltown versus Dable game, where they were able to take home a 7-0 victory. Very big moment here in 2014. Number 6, Dable defeats Leeds. Dable moves off to a 4-3 start. No one in the state, including us, I must say, gave them any chance of defeating a very good Leeds team, and they come away with a 20-14 victory. So a big story here in 2014. Number 5, Danny Horn goes on the road to Central of Clay County, where he was the coach for 25 years and was able to pick up a victory for Benjamin Russell in their first game against Central of Clay County, 23-15. Number 4, Joe Blue and Jackie O'Neill retire after 33 years as a coach for Central Coosa for Blue, and many years, 27 years for Jackie O'Neill at Reeltown. That came in at number 4. So some great coaches. We hate to see them go, but they got a legacy that will always live on here in the state of Alabama, both of them part of the AHSA Hall of Fame, both inducted, one in 2011, the other in 2010. Moving down to number 3, Scott.
Well, you're speaking about a great coach, and we'll just keep that theme going. Richard Brooks was inducted into the 2014 class of the Alabama Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame, and in his more than 20 years of coaching, he's amassed a 559 and 307 career record, and the bulk of that, which has been at Benjamin Russell, almost 500 wins there for us, 499 and 280 for Benjamin Russell. Yeah,
an unbelievable tenure that he's pulled off. I was proud to be part of the first class that he had come through from the 9th grade through to the 12th, as we were in the 9th when Coach Brooks entered in, and 499 victories later, we're still very, very lucky to have him a part of this program. He can coach them up as good as anybody. If you give him some good talent, I promise you, he's going to put a winning team on the field. Oh, so close to getting over the hump and winning some state championships in the years past, and I hope that some of the classes that have the option or the opportunity to do that in the years to come will get over that hump and bring one home for many of us that were unable to do that in a few of those good runs that we have. But it's nothing to hold your head down about. He's got one of the best programs here in the state of Alabama at Benjamin Russell, so we're glad to have Coach Brooks at number 3. Moving down to number 2.
Our very own Daniel Bland, who is a wrestler for Benjamin Russell, won the 5A 285-pound state title this season. He defeated Moody's Trey Kenny in a 3-1 decision. Bland finished the season 45-7, making him the 2nd straight individual state champion following Blake Chappell.
Only a sophomore to pick up a state championship in a bracket like the heavyweight division is very, very tough, but he's an outstanding athlete, an outstanding young man from a great family here in the local community, and Daniel Bland has got a long career to look forward to, whatever he decides to do. We hope that he ends up maybe at a school that allows him to wrestle and play some football, because he's one of the best that we have to offer here in the Lake Martin region on the football field, as he plays offensive guard and really gets after it. We're glad we've got him back for one more year. Closing out the top 10 area sports moments of 2014 here in the Lake Martin region with number 1.
And that's Kendall Graveman's rise through the minors and eventually making his MLB debut with the Toronto Blue Jays. He's a current Oakland Athletic. He was traded during the off-season, but he put together one heck of a season in 27 minor league starts. He was 14-6 with an impressive 1.83 ERA, and in his 5 major league appearances, he only gave up 2 runs. So, again, we're looking forward to seeing what Kendall will do, and hopefully he'll have a chance to fight for a rotation spot in the spring.
I'd like to say that I'm surprised with this one. I'm just not. He's from an outstanding family. family, an outstanding baseball family with his father part of that staff. I'm sure Coach Brooks would tell you he would like to vote a lot of those wins to Coach Graveman helping him and being an assistant there for a long time. But Kendall Graveman's an outstanding young man, was a very good athlete, not only on the baseball diamond, but on the football field where he was a great quarterback here for Benjamin Russell. He's just got the will. He's got the frame. He's got everything going for him that you look for in a pitcher, and he'll just flat get after it. And I'm excited to watch and see how he ends up progressing this year. We're hoping for Kendall to get into that starting rotation for the Oakland Athletics. If Billy Bean, I think he can smell talent as well as anybody. If you've watched the movie or if we all talk about it, Billy Bean for the Oakland Athletics can jump out there and find talent. I think he's found another gem here in Kendall.
Yeah, and he fits that Moneyball mold, Kendall does, of the Oakland Athletics. And for people that don't necessarily know, he was involved in a deal for Josh Donaldson, who was actually a former Auburn Tiger, third baseman for the A's, was traded to the Blue Jays in a deal with Kendall. And Billy Bean himself specifically asked for Kendall because they didn't want to have to give up Donaldson. And there was such high praise around the American League especially and in their division about what type of pitcher Kendall was projected to be. So we're excited for his growth, and I'm looking forward to see how he matures as a pitcher.
Scott, I got to give it to you. This is a great list. You going to pass it along to the Outlook?
I mean, I should actually.
You should. I think Kenneth Boone and the Outlook would be glad to put this one out there. It's a great list that we could pass along. And, Scott, it's a good segue to talk about the Outlook. We get most of our news up here. I want to say that we've been lucky here in this community to have a local newspaper that you work for that cares enough about sports to send somebody out there to talk about it, because we're unable to do it. We sit up here, we talk about the sports that we read about in the Outlook, and we try to say that. So I really push all of you out there to go and pick up an Outlook. If you can't, pull them up online. They do a great job of providing coverage for our local area kids that they'd be unable to do. And I can tell you from my personal self, I'll say from my mama's personal self, any story that would come through. I saw last night my good friend Jerome Gamble. Congratulations to him, a new father. He throws out a picture from the Outlook last night on Facebook, and it's him and my ugly brother. No, I'm just kidding. My brother's mug and two others that were part of the 1998 or 1997 football team that went to a Class 6A state championship game, first time here in the school's history. Tank was one of those other players, and Patrick Pearson was another one. So those four players were all state players that year on the Benjamin Russell, and he throws that out there. And that tells you how much it means to him to still have that. So we're lucky here in the community to have that.
Yeah, I'm not going to throw out your nickname. I'll save that for another show. But it definitely does, and they do a great job. We hate to see Ed Bailey, the former sports editor for the Outlook, he moves on to the OA News, but looking forward to seeing Robert Hudson and what he has to offer.
And that's the end of this program tonight. And we'd love for you to come out to JR Sports Bar Grill. And again, we couldn't do this program without them. They're great corporate partners for all of our Sports Blitz programming. If you're tuning us in Tuesday through Friday as well on Sports Call from 4 to 6, Sports Call Auburn, we do that program here from JR Sports Bar and Grill. They have great happy hour specials that they pass along out there. So we'd love for you to come out. They've got some good price appetizers. They got pitchers of beer. If you need to wind down, JR Sports Bar and Grill is the best place to do it. So for Scott Hardy, I'm Randy Lee saying thanks for tuning in to the Sports Blitz Lake Martin Sports Roundup.